It's my birthday. I wanted to start us off with a little guided meditation. That's how I like to start almost everything that I do. That feels really good for me. So if you want to close your eyes or soften your gaze or sink in any way that you want, just taking a nice deep breath and inviting the spirit to come into relationship with the body, not forgetting either, sort of holding them both and inviting them to both be very present with us tonight. Taking some nice deep breaths. Feeling called to call in all of our well-bright ancestors who want to join us. Calling in all of our beloved transcestors and blessed transcendents. Calling in any guiding spirits, any deities, any earth allies, any benevolent energies that want to join us tonight and uplift us in this space, uplift us in our lives. Taking a moment and feeling them arrive. And then I'm wanting to invite us all to send out some golden light through our crown into the cosmos. And I'm going to invite all of those light beams to meet in a star, the same star that's directly above all of us and in the center point of all of us. And that star is going to be the place that we're going to co-create and play in today, the place where we're going to meet with such effortlessness. It's going to feel so good to connect there and come together there. And so just seeing all of our beams of light going up into this same star, the star welcoming us and feeling so excited to have our energy present. And then whenever you're ready, creating your own place of sovereignty and security for our call tonight. Maybe that's a ring of fire. Maybe that's a water, like a body of water that you step into. Whatever that is, just allowing yourself to be in that space and to find yourself in the center of it, so protected, so centered. And if it feels good to send roots down into the earth, inviting you to do so. Allowing your roots to go as far and as deep as you want them to be, the earth welcoming them, and that beautiful light beam just shooting up into the cosmos, feeling yourself elongated, your energy in both directions, so balanced. Feeling the effortlessness of rooting and also extending your light into the heavens, into the cosmos, into that star. Taking a few breaths here, noticing all the other humans and beings in the circle today. Feeling how good it feels to come into connection, especially in celebration. One of my favorite ways to come into connection, to gather. And then taking one more breath and finding your way back to the call, back to your body in the present moment, allowing it to be a gentle transition. All right, I'm going to attempt to share my screen, which even after 2 years of Zooming regularly is still an adventure. So emojis. Okay, beautiful. Welcome to my birthday extravaganza day 1. It feels so good to make it to 33. Yeah, it's my Jesus year. I didn't know if I was going to make it to this age, and there were certainly years where I was extremely like really dreaded my birthday. And so now being in my 30s and loving my birthday and being a true birthday diva feels so good. So as I was reflecting on what I wanted for this birthday, one thing I really wanted to do was just sort of gather together like 33 life lessons. I am an Aries sun and I'm a manifestor in human design. I'm actually a 3-5 manifestor. If you're into human design at all, you'll know that the 3-5 is the experimenter. And the way that I learn is by doing, really by getting my hands dirty and fucking up. And then that's how I learn my lessons. And then part of my job and part of my joy in this world, in this lifetime, is sharing the lessons that I've learned so that other people don't have to make the same mistakes that I do, or so that their journey is smoother, or they can quantum leap. And that's also one of the reasons why I love coaching so much, and why I have coaches and why I have mentors, because learning from each other's mistakes is one of the magical parts of being a human. So today I'm going to share 3 lessons. I'm super excited. I made y'all a cute PowerPoint because I love making cute PowerPoints. So let's see. 33 years on this planet. That's me through the years, from a little alien baby first landing. I don't know if y'all know about newborn energy, but it can often be like pretty confused. Like becoming a human being on this planet is pretty intense. So yeah, there I look very peaceful, but other moments not so much. And then there I am through the years. There I am on my first birthday and my first time in the ocean. You can see that huge smile in that polka dot swimsuit. There I am feeding a lamb when I was 19. That was sort of my first big adventure, was going to Iceland as a 19-year-old, not telling my parents, getting a job on a farm and working for 6 months milking cows, and doing like an awesome lambing season, helping to birth over 300 lambs, which was absolutely incredible. And then there I am on Saturday on my actual 33rd birthday at this awesome lake with this big stick that my niece helped me find, and my 9-year-old niece took that picture. So it feels really cool and really wild to look at like a whole lifetime. It's just so interesting and wild. And then my first lesson is have more fun. When I was in art school and I used to be stuck on projects, I was a total overachiever and I get really stressed out about things. And when I would get stuck on a project, my mentor would always be like, how can you have more fun? How can you fuck around more? How can you experiment more? How can you just do whatever you want to do? And so that's been like a really good life lesson for me. I ask myself that all the time. Whenever I'm in that kind of moment, I just think like, okay, how can I have more fun? How can I fuck around more? How can I be silly? How can I turn this into a game? Not that life isn't serious at certain moments, but I do find when you're having fun, it's like this amazing embodiment hack. And you end up feeling more safe. You end up being more creative, having more pleasure and joy and excitement. And you have like really creative solutions. So every time that I actually let myself have more fun, the creative solutions that come through are like absolutely amazing. And I just feel myself like open up to possibility, which feels so good. So that's one of my questions that I always ask myself and encourage myself to look into when I'm feeling stuck or when I'm feeling bored. Like life should be engaging. So if you're not feeling engaged, like just ask yourself, how can I have more fun? Which leads me to my next one, which is use your imagination. Actually, like schedule time to daydream, having time away from my phone, having time away from like other stimuli, except for my like internal landscapes, is one of the most amazing practices. I mean, I like to do it for hours on end, but not everyone can do that. Not everyone has that kind of time. But even like 5 minutes of stillness and just leaning into your imagination can be really powerful. Of course, like our imagination and daydreaming, it's a practice that we cultivate like any other. So it may not feel comfortable or good at first, but if you lean into it, if you exercise it, if you practice it, you're going to engage with it more and more, and you're going to learn to trust it and use it as the powerful tool that it is. And I love imaginary space when I can't do something in this world, because this world and this body has like real limitations. Physics, for instance, when I can't do things in this realm, then it's really nice to go into a different realm and allow myself to practice it or to try it out or to see what happens. So that is like one of my favorite things ever. When I was getting really into my ritual practice a few years ago, my ritual coach, Brooke Herr, we were working on this one ritual, and Brooke was like, you can do it in imaginal space if you're too tired to do it in like this realm. And I was like, oh my gosh. And that blew my mind and blew my ritual practice wide open. And now like, yeah, I have all these incredible imaginary worlds inside of me, just like everyone else. And it's such a powerful tool and such a powerful place to go to and get to engage in. So that's one of my favorite things to just do if I have a little time. And then follow your desires. They're a map. They will guide you. When I was 19, I was riding a bus in San Francisco. I was freaking out because I didn't know where I was going to live, and no one would rent to me as a 19-year-old, which now I fully understand. But at the time I was very stressed about because I couldn't find housing. And my friend was like, where do you want to go? Like, if it's not here, where do you want to go? And I was like, I saw this documentary on Iceland 6 months ago and I really want to go there. And my friend was like, then you should go there. And I did. I bought a ticket for 2 weeks later and I ended up staying and getting that job on the farm. And it was a formative experience for me. It was absolutely incredible. It changed who I am as a human. It helped form me. And I ended up living there for 2.5 years, studying Icelandic. It was absolutely incredible. And I find that every time I follow like my true aligned desire, just like doors just blow wide open. It's just like 1,000 doors open. It feels so, so, so good. So trust those desires, lean into them, and you can start really small. If you're like, I desire to eat fruit, eat some fruit, and then see what the next desire is. Go with it, follow that path, follow that thread. That's something I learned from Mama Gina, and something that I learned over and over and over is like our desires are so divine. They are aligned. I feel like our desires are pulling us forward. I like to think like the future is manifesting me so that I can be the person I need to be in the future. Like if the matrix exists and we're already in it in the future, then it's just like it's just pulling us and luring us and seducing us into it, and that's through desires. So I love to think of it like that. Collect evidence and actually write it down. If you're trying to change a belief, if you're trying to expand, if you're trying to create a path for yourself, then actually write down every time that you see evidence. Like notice it. When you notice it and you write it down, you're telling your brain, this is important. Find more of this. Our brains are these amazing pattern making machines, and like they find meaning in pattern making. And so if we tell them what to look for, they'll actually do like an incredible job of it. And so I find that the more that I write down evidence for myself, the more that evidence is actually received. And then my evidence file, like the actual notebook I use, but also my brain, it just like builds all this evidence, and then more and more and more seems possible and real, and it feels incredible. This is my number one tip for imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is just to start writing down every time you do an incredible job, or every time someone compliments you or gives you praise on the job you're doing, because we're so used to not receiving that once you start to take notes on it and collect it, you're like, oh my God, there's actually so much here. I didn't really recognize all of this before. So it'll help you receive it. It will help it land. It will help it like nourish and fortify you as you move forward. So that's one of my favorite things. That was a life-changing thing I started doing a few months ago after reading Mel Robbins' book. Was like, oh, I'm going to actually keep an evidence log. And whatever I'm trying to manifest, I'm just going to write down every time the universe gives me a sign that that's already here or that's on the way. I'm going to write down every time that something happens I'm grateful for in that realm. So yeah, if you're trying to find love in your life, then every time you feel a moment of love, write it down. And then that also helps if you're feeling like some loneliness, to go back and read that and be like, oh my gosh, all these moments of love exist. My grandma is 93. And she told me that she used to think that life was all joy with moments of sorrow. And now, after 93 years on earth, she's realizing that it's a lot more sorrow with moments of joy. And she was telling me to collect the moments of joy. And I was just like very moved by that. It's like, yes, Grandma, I'm totally collecting them. I'm like writing them down. I want to have them with me. It feels really special to do that. And then seek out role models and expanders. When you find someone who's doing something that you want to do, even if it's just a part of what you want to do, make a note, use them as a role model, use them as a guide, use them as evidence that that's like completely possible. That's how we quantum leap. That's how we expand. We see examples in the real world, and our brain believes that it's possible. My number one favorite story about this in my own life is that I was living in a loft in Bushwick, and my room had no windows, which was totally fine in college. But after 5 years of that life, where like the walls were paper thin and my room had no windows and it felt really crowded, I was like ready for a different living situation. And a really dear friend of mine moved into like a beautiful brownstone with a yard and bed-stuy. And I remember going to their house and being like, oh, this is possible. And they were paying like the same amount I was paying for this loft in Bushwick. And I was just like, wait, what? And then 3 months later, when I was looking for an apartment, I was like, I want a brownstone and bed-stuy with a bathtub, with windows in my bedroom, with way more space, with a closet. I just like was like, I'm ready. And I believe it's possible because my friend was able to do this. And then sure enough, that's exactly what I got. And I still live there, and it's amazing. So when we find the things that we want in the real world, and when we identify with the people who have them or are doing them, it just like explodes the possibility for us, which is so amazing and feels so good. And that's also like more evidence to write down in your evidence file. Like, this thing that I want, it exists. I found it. So yeah, that's something I learned from Lacey Phillips. And I love that because it's been a really powerful tool for me, especially with, underrepresentation of people who have similar identities I do. The more that I seek them out and find them, like every time that I see Alok, who is a person of color and a trans person and a poet and an artist, I just like, my heart expands because I see them living this life that I'm like, oh my gosh, it is possible. It is like possible to be in public view and be safe and be a trans person of color who is a poet and is an artist and is sharing themselves with the world. Like, that is real evidence for me. And there's other evidence that can counteract that. Of course, we can always find it out. But it's like, if our brain can seek out the evidence we want and start building upon it, so much feels more possible. And then know your values. I used to find decision making super, super hard. And since I've gotten really like right and aligned with what I value, decisions feel so much easier. It feels like they offer me this incredible clarity, just like have an ongoing list of the things that I value. And when an opportunity comes up or when I'm struggling in a conflict or something, I can just turn to my page, my list of values, and just sort of run it down and see, am I acting in alignment? Are the choices I'm making in alignment with the things that I say that I value? It's like a very powerful but very simple exercise. If I value communication and I'm dating someone who's not communicating with me, and I've already tried to explain that to them or talk to them or show them the kind of communication I want, and they're still not offering that, then that's not an option for me anymore, because that's something I value really, really deeply. And that's like a non-negotiable value for me. It doesn't mean I think any less of that person. It just means that those values for me need to be met. And I also need to be meeting my values. So if I'm in a conflict and I'm valuing communication and honesty, and I'm like, I don't know if I've been honest in my communication, then it's time for me to take a different action. It's time for me to get really real with myself and change my course of action and to be more in alignment with my values. So values have felt really good. I think I avoided them for like most of my 20s because I was just very like learn by doing and very open to so many experiences. And then in the last 5 years, I've gotten really real with myself about like, you know what, I can be discerning, I can know what I value, and I can make choices based on those. And that feels really, really good. It's actually helped me have like a lot less anxiety. Allow yourself to be human. One of my favorite things is a friend of mine, instead of saying like, is it wrong? Like if they do something kind of funky or something that's unusual, instead of saying, is it wrong? They say, is it human? And of course the answer is yes, because they're human and they did it. So definitely allow yourself to be human, allow yourself to fuck up, allow yourself to make things up, to learn, to try again, to continue going, to be vulnerable, to be courageous. Like all the things that it means to be human are just so special. And surround yourself by folks who do the same and who also allow you to be human. I think that's one of my favorite things, is when you're with someone and there's like this really beautiful moment of humanity. It's like, that's how we connect. We're all human, we're all so unique, and yet we're all sharing this experience of like what it's like to try to be a human on this planet at this time. That's something that I really value in other people, is like when they're really in touch with their humanity and they're really generous about mine and they're really open to my humanity. Like, I'm gonna fuck up, I'm gonna miss an email, these things happen. And then what do we do when they happen? We just like try to correct, we try to figure it out as we go. And that's like very human. And then also like we're super creative. We're like these magical beings that aren't supposed to be all the same. We're supposed to have these like beautiful, like unique expressions of ourselves. And that's something else that I absolutely love and appreciate when other people like encourage that in me. So when other people encourage my humanity, that's something I really value, that feels really beautiful and special to me. One of my favorites, embrace the mess. I mean, I'm a total mess lover, mess maker, proud mess maker. And I just feel like when I started to learn to love the messiness and love the imperfections and love the way that things ebb and flow and come and go, and like the way that things break and can be fixed. And that's just like when I started really enjoying life so much more. And that's like one of for me, that's like one of the best remedies for perfectionism is like, how imperfect can I be? How much can I embrace the mess that is probably inevitable? And can I have fun with the mess? Can I play with the mess? Can I enjoy it? Can I engage with it? And if I can, like, how can I do that? So that's one of my favorite things. If you if you know my Dom persona, Mistress Soul, Mistress Soul is all about the mess, and that was one of the things that felt so good and so healing for me about 5 years ago when I was doing dominatrix training. One of my mentors was talking about how being a dominatrix, it's not about being perfect. It's about knowing how to repair and being open for repair if and when harm happens. And I just remember like that really activating the part of me that was a perfectionist that was like, no, I'm going to figure out how to do all of this perfectly. And there will never be a mistake and there will never be a need for repair. And I've totally fucking got this. And of course, after working just for a few months, I realized that she was very right. And it was time for me to get a lot more humble and get a lot more flexible and learn to be with the mess, be with the messiness of humans interacting, being with the messiness of like what play looks like. And that felt so good. And then I just like took that so much farther and embraced the mess in so many ways. And to the point where Mystic Soul is like all about the mess and wants to make a mess intentionally, because there aren't a lot of spaces where we do get to make a mess intentionally. So often in our lives, we're like avoiding the mess. We're trying to fix the mess. We're trying to clean it up. We're trying to not have it happen. And it feels so good to have a space where you're just like, fuck yes, I'm going to make a mess. It's going to be fucking awesome. And I trust myself to handle it. And I trust myself to clean it up. And I trust myself to repair. And I trust myself to like enjoy this process and see this as like a huge growth opportunity and a moment of play and engagement. So that's one of my favorite things when I'm in my dominatrix persona is messiness. Oh, celebrate yourself. You are a literal miracle. Everything you do is incredible. It is like you're one in a billion, 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 trillion. I don't understand numbers very well, but like you are a unique being. You are so special. And you got to celebrate yourself every step of the way. I always think of like how much we celebrate babies, like everything they do. We're just like, oh my gosh, like when they like literally like move their hand or they like look in your eyes, we're just like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And so I just think that that's the energy I want to be bringing with myself. And then that also means like something that Julia Wells talks about is like making yourself right. Like don't make yourself wrong for what you're doing, making yourself like make yourself right. Really believe that most humans are trying to do the best they can with what they have and what they know at any given moment. And if we just like have that as our baseline assumption for others, especially for ourselves, then we're going to do so much better. And actually pausing to celebrate, actually pausing to be like, oh my God, I did this thing. I think so often we're rushing through and we're going to that next goal, which is so great, but we don't stop and celebrate and let that celebration like fortify us. And we don't like pause and really let it sink in, like all the things we've done. I remember when I graduated college, I literally pulled an all-nighter the night before college ended, like the night before graduation. I was pulling an all-nighter, of course, because I'm a last, like I do things last minute. And I was like, I definitely like overloaded my schedule that semester and I had so many things to do. So I was pulling an all-nighter like literally the night before graduation. And the next day at graduation, I was talking to my mentor and the dean of my department. And I was just telling her, like, oh, things are going to get so much easier. I'm so excited. Like, I made it here. And she was like, oh, no, it's only going to get harder from here. And I remember being like, oh my God, can we just like pause and like let me graduate before you tell me that? Can we just like celebrate that I just graduated with honors after going to 5 colleges and being in college for 8 years and doing like multiple majors, like everything from fine arts to dairy science to Icelandic back to like graphic design and fine arts? Like, can we just like pause for a second? Like, I didn't think I was going to graduate. I'm 26 years old. I worked my ass off. Like, I'm so proud to be here. And you're just telling me about like what the future obstacles are going to be. Like, oh my God, please don't do that. So like not doing that to ourselves, letting ourselves take that moment, take that celebration, letting ourselves brag about ourselves. That's something I learned from Mama Gina is like a brag feels so good. Like boast, brag, let people know, like be big, take up space. And also like my coach Marissa Hunter said today, like you don't want to be a brag hoarder. Like, let those brags out, like let show them. That's also like how we're expanders and role models for other people, is like we let them see these parts of ourselves that are big and glorious and amazing. Like, I love talking about my birthday, especially because I didn't like my birthday. And when I say I didn't like it, I mean, I like literally wouldn't get out of bed. I would just like pretend this day didn't exist. Like 10 years ago, I wouldn't even get out of bed. I wouldn't answer my phone. I wouldn't acknowledge my own birthday. I was just in such a dark place. And now it's like, I love being a birthday diva, and I love letting people know, like, it's from this place of darkness that there's this light, this brightness, this celebration. And like, you deserve it too. You can be as big as you want. You can be a diva. You can brag all day. Like, that's incredible. Like, I actually think if more people bragged and celebrated, we would have more energy to handle the things that are so difficult and things that are so tough. And not celebrating the good stuff doesn't make the bad stuff go away. I think that's one of the lessons that I learned that was like a very powerful lesson, is like, it's okay to be excited and it's okay to be disappointed. And like, the excitement and the disappointment, like they like, what does my friend always say? Like, correlation doesn't mean causation. The disappointment doesn't come from the excitement. And you can be like, you can suppress your excitement and still be disappointed, or you could feel that excitement and feel yourself get so big and so full on that excitement. And then when the disappointment comes, you at least had the excitement and you can feel that you have that sense memory, that sensation memory. So I think celebrating yourself is so important. And one of my favorite ways to celebrate myself, because I for a long time was like, how do I celebrate myself alone? And that feels really good. And of course it's like dance parties and it's jumping up and down, and it's like also like bragging on social media and sharing with friends and family. But also the Mel Robbins trick, which is one of my favorites, is just like literally high five yourself in the mirror. And I'll do that, like high five myself in the mirror and be like, you're doing a fucking great job. Like, you're doing it. You're absolutely doing it. And it feels so like, it's silly, but it actually feels so good. She wrote a whole book on it if you want to read about it. It was yeah, it's like a powerful, silly practice that I love. It's an amazing hack. So I recommend it. Also, if you ever want to celebrate, like, I'm so here to receive your celebrations. So DM me, email me, let me know what you're celebrating. I'm super here for your celebrations and your brags. I fucking love celebrating people, including myself. And then number 10 is reframe failures. This is a really powerful lesson for me. I feel like even in the last year, I've just been reframing so many failures. I had this narrative of myself as a failure, being in my early 30s and not being where I thought I would be. Although when I look at where I thought I would be, like, that is not in alignment. That is not what I wanted. And so I'm actually really celebrating that and reframing that as like, that's a huge fucking success. Like, I haven't gone down the path that I didn't want. And I've taken my time to try a bunch of things and figure things out. I've lived in a bunch of places. I've worked a bunch of jobs, like, I feel very settled in the choices I've made at this point because I've seen the alternatives. And reframing that, letting that be my like superhero origin story and not just the story of failure, has been really powerful for me, and not letting those mistakes define me. And so even like the college thing, for a long time, I felt really self-conscious about the fact that I went to 5 colleges and I changed my major a bunch and I moved all across the country and it took me 8 years to graduate. But when I look at it now, I'm like, holy shit, I had so many good experiences. I graduated top of my class. I graduated from Parsons, a place I never thought I would go. That was like so powerful. I went on basically a full ride, which was amazing at 23 years old, to like feel like, oh my God, I'm never going to finish college to get into Parsons and get such a big scholarship and get to go there and have such an amazing experience. And I learned so much along the way. Like, I know a little bit about dairy science. I know some Icelandic. I know graphic design. I know some fine arts. I had all these amazing experiences. I met all these amazing people. And even now, when I think about it, I'm like, holy shit, all those things got me to exactly where I am now. So it's not a failure at all. It's like my superhero origin story. Of course, I had to have all those twists and turns. Of course, I had to experience all those setbacks and all those wins. Like, that makes so much sense. I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't do that. I love telling people about what my 20s were like, and they're always like, whoa, you lived a lot of life in your 20s. And it's like, yeah, I actually did. And I'm really fucking proud of that. That is not a failure. Um, and letting other people, like, not letting other people define your failures for you. I have an older brother who can be a little bit harsh. And when I was first looking into being a coach, and doing my coaching training, he was like, who would hire you as a coach? You're a quitter. And I was like, damn, bro, like I'm not a quitter. I'm actually resilient as fuck. Like I don't stop if I'm not happy. Like if I'm not happy, I don't settle there. I keep going. I like find my happiness. I figure out what works for me. And you know what? Like what works for us changes all the time. It changes depending on mood, depending on age, depending on where we're at and what we want. And what I've wanted and where I've been at has changed a lot in my life. You know, I've lived in San Francisco and Madison, Wisconsin, and Phoenix and New York and Reykjavik, Iceland. I've lived in Boston, and of course I'm from Missouri, and it feels really great to like know that many places in an intimate way. It feels really great to be like, wow, my journey has been winding, and yet it led me exactly where I'm supposed to be. I feel like I'm working my dream job. I feel like I'm living in an amazing space in an amazing apartment in a neighborhood that I love, and I have such beautiful community. And that wouldn't all be true the way that it is now if I hadn't gone through all those experiences and learned all those lessons. So definitely going back and just sort of taking a catalog of things that you think are failures and reframing them. Like there is no failure, you know, there's only feedback. I think Tony Robbins says that, and I freaking love that because it's so true. And that's how we learn. You know, that's like the best way to learn is to go in and have something not work out exactly the way you want, and then you figure something else out. And then the last one for today is define yourself. Be whoever and whatever you want to be. You get to decide. That has been one of the most powerful lessons I think I've learned in 33 years is like you can be whoever and whatever you want, whenever you want. Use that imagination, use that play, reframe those failures, just let yourself be who you want to be. Can be an extremely powerful thing. I love coming up with different personas for parts of me. I love playing and seeing what feels good to be or be called. It's so funny. Sometimes I meet people in person and they're like, wait, what is your name? Like, is your name Roxy or Marianne or Soul? And it always depends on like what space they know me in. But it's like, yeah, all those names work for me. That's all, those are all part of me. I'm a multi-dimensional human being like we all are. And so even as soon as I define myself, I realize like, oh, I'm also like, I also have parts that contradict that thing I just defined, which is really exciting to me because we get to change and shift so much in our lives. We get to live so many lives in one life. So I wanted to do a little activity. It's a very like Aries inspired activity. I am an Aries, and Aries is very much the like I am as a full sentence. But I did this practice the other day with Renee from Embodied Astrology, and it was really powerful and I really, really enjoyed it. So I thought we'd just take a few minutes and I wanted to see if y'all wanted to do it. You can do it in your head, you can do a voice note, you can write it down, whatever feels good. We'll just take like 3 minutes, and I just really want to encourage you to write down I am ... and just write down whatever you are, first thought, best thought, let it roll, let it be stream of consciousness. And then I am not. And I feel like sometimes knowing what you are not is just as important as knowing what you are. So just letting that roll. I'm going to give us 3 minutes. I'm going to put on a little music, and you can always continue this later. It's such a fun exercise, especially to like see how it changes and shifts through time. I'm going to share a little bit about what I wrote in the workshop that I did last week where we did this exercise because it was so much fun. I wrote, I am a marvel, a mirage, a miracle, a prince, extra as fuck, a whole ass expansive being, a guide through expansive erotic nature, a warrior of liberation, an abundant freak. I am a delightful deviant, a force, a piece of the puzzle, part of a landscape, a lover and a fighter. I am an initiator. I am here. I am a catalyst for change. I am a grand experimenter, a sacred galvanizer, a master of celebration, and a priestess of play. And it just felt like so fun to write that, even just in 2 minutes. So if nobody wants to share, I'm just going to keep going. But if you do want to share, just pop it in the chat at any time. I would love to hear. So that's the 11 lessons for today. There will be 11 more lessons tomorrow. I'd love to have you join again tomorrow. It'll be at the same time. And then on Friday, I'll have 11 lessons in the afternoon, which is going to be super fun. That will be the last 11 lessons. Yeah. And then on Saturday, I'm gonna have a VIP celebration. No lessons, just fun. Although I think lessons are fun because I'm, you know, like such a lesson nerd. Gemini rising, I just want to learn everything and share everything. So yeah, if you want to come on Saturday, that'll be more of a celebration energy. It'll be really special. A dear friend of mine is going to do a collective tarot reading, and another dear friend is going to read a poem and guide us through a word bath. If you're not a Mama Gina person, a word bath is where we shower and bathe someone in words of praise and love and admiration. And so my friend has offered to lead one for me, which I'm really excited about. And that'll probably prompt everybody to celebrate themselves. It will be a really special energy, a really special day. So if you want to come to that, that's Saturday. And if you want to hear the other 22 lessons, join me tomorrow and Friday. It's going to be really special. And then I would love to tell you how you can get some more Marianne magic if you want to hang out and hear about that. So ways to get more Marianne magic, you can follow me on Instagram at ma_George. Or I have free meditations on my website. I do pay what you wish circles, which are really, really fun. I have art making circles. Sometimes I'll do breath work, which is really awesome. I also have a monthly replenish circle, which is really special. It's a space for trans and non-binary beings to talk about abundance and scarcity. That's something that I'm really dedicated to, and something that I believe deeply in is trans abundance and trans wealth and wellness. So that's a space where we get to work on that together in community. It's very powerful and very special. And then I also do one-on-one coaching, and I am so excited to announce my newest offering, which is my year-long magical mentorship. So it's a year-long magical mentorship. It will be one-on-one coaching with me 3 times a month. There will also be some really hot extra bonuses. If you want to hear about those, let me know. I'll tell you all about them. And it's going to be starting whenever someone is ready to do it. You can embark on that journey. There's only a few spots, which feels really special. And if you want to find out more and engage with it more and see what it's going to be like, go ahead and book a magical mini mentorship. I will put the link for that in the chat in just a second. Those magical mini mentorships will be a 75-minute one-on-one call where I'll just offer you an hour of mentorship and coaching. And then for the last 15 minutes, if you want, we can talk about how to continue, how to go forward. So I'm really excited for that. I think that will be super, super special. So yeah, yes, Beth, you're already signed up. I'm so excited. Beth is my first mini mentorship, like angel, magical, special, kindred soul sibling, which I'm so, so, so excited for. So those are going to be absolutely amazing. And my year-long magical mentorship with the 3 sessions a month and all these delicious extras, it's going to be $33,000 a year paid in full, or you can do a payment plan. And if you know anyone who is looking for a really beautiful, epic container to hold them and for them to quantum leap in a year's time, please let them know about this. I'm really excited and really thrilled to be doing this. So yes, I'm going to go ahead and close this out with a little blessing, a little prayer. Just taking a nice deep breath, finding your body and your spirit again, inviting you to tune back into that star energy, that beautiful beam of light, the place where we're all playing and co-creating together in the cosmos, as well as tuning into your place of sovereignty and security and safety and groundedness, whether that's your roots or a ring of fire or a body of water that you're immersed in. Just feeling yourself so connected to both. So connected to that place of rooted groundedness and so connected to that beautiful beam of light, connecting you to that star, connecting you to all of us with such effortlessness. Taking a few deep breaths, maybe moving or stretching your body. Finding yourself so safe, so grounded, and also so expanded. Inviting you to breathe in anything that you want to take with you from our call today, inviting it to infuse into your cells, inviting it to nourish you so that you can carry it with you effortlessly. And then breathing out anything you don't want to take with you, letting it go, releasing it into the cosmos to be recycled into something even more magical, even more special. And then taking a moment to thank yourself and celebrate yourself for showing up, for being open, for being an incredible human being. And then thanking any well-bright ancestors, any blessed transcestors, any beloved transcendents, any deities or guiding spirits. Also thanking any earth allies, benevolent energies for showing up today, letting them know that our circle is coming to a close and they can go if they must and stay if they will. And just feeling that energy, feeling that circle start to close and dissipate, calling the light beam back into your body, feeling the golden light trickle and ooze and just fill your whole body with delicious, magical energy of connection and shared wisdom and community. Taking that all in, letting it flow, and then any of it that's extra, just allowing it to flow through your roots back into the earth, where it can be recycled and given to anyone who needs it. Taking a few more breaths here and allowing your body to rest. And then taking your time to come back to your body and your spirit in this present reality, in this present moment.